Update: while preparing dinner for my wife's entire family, I stepped into the garage for more chairs and heard her brother say, "I still can't believe you married this loser. Dad's right, you need to divorce him before you have kids and get stuck forever." She replied, "Already working on it. My lawyer says we can take half his business too." I returned with the chairs and continued hosting with a perfect smile. 3 days later, my WhatsApp was flooded with 47 desperate messages begging me. Part 2. I checked our joint savings. $20,000 was missing. The money I'd been putting aside for the business expansion, for our future, was gone. Then I found the text with someone savedest. Apparently, Dominic wasn't just a better fit, he was already test driving my replacement. The text went back 6 months. 6 months. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I called in sick to work on Monday, first time in 3 years, and met with a divorce attorney while Alexandra was at the office. A guy named Mike, who a buddy recommended. I told him everything and showed him the screenshots I'd taken. Mike laid it out straight. In our state, she could potentially get half my business's value since it grew substantially during our marriage, even though she never lifted a finger to help with it. Even though I built it from nothing while supporting her through school. When he told me the potential settlement amount, I almost blacked out. Everything I'd built, everything I'd sacrificed for, cut in half and handed to the woman who was planning to blindside me. I remember asking Mike, "So what, I just bend over and take it?" He started talking about amicable settlements and minimizing damages, but I was already gone mentally. Something fundamental had shifted inside me. That night, Alexandra asked if I was feeling better. Brought home soup. Acted concerned. I played along, said I was just tired, probably coming down with something. She suggested I see a doctor. The performance was Oscar-worthy. I nodded, thanked her for caring, told her I loved her. She said it back without hesitation, those 3 meaningless words falling from her lips while she planned my financial execution. I watched her scroll through Instagram as we sat on the couch, stopping to like a photo of us from last Christmas that her sister posted. The caption read, #CoupleGoals. I nearly laughed out loud. It was like living with a stranger wearing my wife's face. Every movement, every word felt calculated. Had she always been this person? Had I been blind for 7 years? Or had she changed? Does it even matter? Here's the thing, I've never considered myself a vindictive man. When contractors try to screw me over, I usually just cut ties and move on. When clients don't pay on time, I work with them. But this was different. This wasn't business. This was my life. As I lay awake that second night, watching her sleep peacefully beside me, probably dreaming about spending my money with Dominic, something hardened inside me. A clarity I've never felt before. You see, Alexandra and her family always underestimated me. They saw the calloused hands and lack of a degree and assumed I was simple. They never understood that building something from nothing requires intelligence, strategy, patience. I started making phone calls the next morning, first to my bank, then to my business partner, then to a few key clients. By noon, I had a plan forming. By dinner, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Alexandra wants war? Fine. But she's bringing a butter knife to a chainsaw fight. This isn't about money anymore. It's about showing her, and her entire family, exactly who they decided to F with. The loser they looked down on for 7 years is about to give them a masterclass in consequences. So here I am, 3 days after that dinner, finalizing my blueprint for demolition. And just like any good construction project, you need to lay the groundwork before you build. Tomorrow, everything changes. Alexandra thinks she's got it all figured out. But she has no idea what's coming. Neither does her family. Or Dominic, whoever the hell he is. I supported her dreams for 7 years. Now, I get to watch hers crumble in real time. Update. First, thanks for all the support on my last post, never expected that kind of response. For those asking if I've calmed down or if I'm thinking more clearly now, nope. Still pissed. Still moving forward. Just more strategically now. Look, when you build something with your hands, you learn that rushing just creates problems you'll have to fix later. Revenge is the same way. It needs a proper foundation. The morning after I posted, Alexandra left for work like any normal day. Kissed me goodbye. Reminded me to call the plumber about that leaky faucet in the guest bathroom. Asked if I could pick up her dry cleaning. The absolute normality of it was surreal, like watching someone sleepwalk through a minefield they planted themselves. As soon as her car pulled out of the driveway, I got to work. First order of business was securing my actual business. Called my accountant for an emergency meeting at the coffee shop down the street from my office. No way I was doing this over the phone or at my workplace where employees might overhear. Here's the thing, when you're building a business while supporting someone through school, you make compromises. Sometimes you don't document everything perfectly. Sometimes you cut corners on paperwork because you're exhausted from working 14-hour days. Alexandra knew this, had even helped with some of our early tax filings when we couldn't afford a proper accountant. The coffee shop meeting was eye-opening. My accountant, let's call him Frank, looked like he hadn't slept in days. Turns out Alexandra had already contacted him, asking innocent questions about business valuation methods and ownership documentation. Claimed she was helping me prepare for a potential investor meeting. Frank, not knowing what was happening, had given her some surface-level info but felt uncomfortable enough to flag it. When I told him what was really going on, the color drained from his face. "James, I need to show you something," he said, pulling out his tablet. He opened a series of documents showing my business transactions from the past 3 years. These highlighted ones, they don't quite add up. Turns out Alexandra had been doing more than just planning a divorce, she'd been creating a paper trail to make it look like I was mishandling business funds. Small discrepancies in dates. Amounts moved between accounts at odd times. Invoices with inconsistent numbering. Nothing illegal, she was too smart for that. But enough to make things look messy in divorce court. Enough to justify bringing in a forensic accountant, who would cost me thousands and find absolutely nothing wrong, but would drag out proceedings for months. Frank and I spent 3 hours documenting everything properly. Creating clear trails showing all transactions were legitimate. We accelerated payments to suppliers, paid off equipment loans early, and documented Alexandra's complete non-involvement in the business operation. While we worked, I got a text from Magnolia, Alexandra's sister. This was unusual. We've always been friendly, but rarely text directly. She asked if we could meet for coffee sometime soon. Said she needed to talk about something important. I agreed to Saturday morning, wondering what that was about. Next stop, the bank. I'd been stewing on something Alexandra's brother had said at that dinner, a comment about their parents helping her when the time comes. I had a hunch. And hunches in construction often save your ass. At the bank, I spoke with our financial advisor and confirmed what I suspected. Alexandra had applied for a home equity line of credit against our house 2 weeks ago. The house that's primarily in my name, because I made the down payment with pre-marriage savings. The house that I renovated myself, adding nearly $100,000 in value. I was still listed as a required signatory, but the paperwork was moving through the system. 1 more week, and she would have had access to about $200,000 in cash I would be partially responsible for repaying. The advisor seemed uncomfortable when I explained I didn't authorize this. After showing my ID and marriage certificate, I was able to cancel the application. Then, I moved half of our joint savings into my personal account, exactly the amount I had contributed. Is that petty? Maybe. But it's a hell of a lot less than she was planning to take.